In the previous video, we learned what all of the parts of the shader graph do. Now let's start building a shader. Okay, so to start, we don't want just a basic color, so we're gonna need to add a texture sample node. So we're gonna right click, we're gonna press create node, and it brings up a search box. From the search box, you can search for any type of node you might need. We're gonna type the word texture. You'll see that all of the nodes that could be used for a texture will show up. We're gonna choose sample texture 2D because we're gonna take a 2D sample of our texture and apply it to our object. So you double click that and then you get this node. So we're gonna take this RGBA output and we're gonna plug it into our base color. Make sure you save it. Unity will then compile your shader, and let's pop back over to the scene view. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click our shader graph, we're gonna create, and we're gonna click material. That will create a new material using our shader graph, and we're gonna name it sample shader. Now that we have our material, we're gonna assign that to our cube. As you can see, since we have the sample texture 2D set to a default white color, it changed our cube to the same white color. Also, you can see in our inspector that our material doesn't really have very many options. We can't change the color or really anything about it. To fix that, we're going to add some variables into our shader graph that we can use. First thing we're going to add is a texture sample 2D. We're going to take that and drag it onto our graph and plug it into our texture node here. After you save it, let's pop back to the scene view and look at our inspector. You can see that now we have a box where we can select a texture to apply to our cube. So if we choose this grass texture here, we now have a cube that looks like it's made of grass. But we still don't have very many options for our material, so let's go ahead and add the rest of them. Let's add a float for our metallic value. Let's add a color for our emission, and we'll add 2 more floats for both our smoothness and ambient occlusion. And then we'll plug all of those in to their corresponding parts of the shader graph. Once you have all of your variables plugged in, save your graph. When we pop back over to our scene view, you can see that our cube looks a little bit different. In our inspector, you can also see that our material now has a lot more options than it had before. We have our metallic, smoothness, and ambient all as number values that you can edit by typing a number, but they would work better as sliders. To change that, all you need to do is click your variable and go into your graph inspector. Instead of default mode, you can change it to slider, and you can adjust the minimum and maximum values for the slider. For metallic, smoothness, and ambient, they all need to be between 0 and 1, so you can leave that default as is. Now in the inspector, you can see that all of the values are slidable and go between the preset values. Since all of these values are now sliders, you can slide them and view how it affects the object within your scene in real time. You can increase the ambient to remove the dark shadow off of the cube, and you can play around with the metallic and smoothness to get everything looking exactly how you want it.